right, well, welcome to another episode of Check the IV. I am your host, Jewel Ivy, and I am here with a very, very, very special guest. This is behind all of my photos. This is the girl behind all of my photos, but she's also one of my best friends and close friends, Emerald. Aww. Welcome to the show, baby.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. I'm so excited for you to be here. I'm so excited to be talking about you. I know you don't like to be talked about. But I have to talk about you. Mm-hmm. I have to share, and give you your flowers. And it's always a good time. Wow, crazy. I didn't even record it.
You're good. It's okay. It was a dry run.
We're gonna get that. It's all okay. So, sorry, Andre. We're gonna restart. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and welcome back to another episode of Check the IV. I'm your host, Jewel Ivy. I was about to say Check the IV. But I'm here with a close friend of mine, but also the person behind all of my photography, my still photography. Mm-hmm. She's like an addition to my creative family, but also my family. So it's like, this is Emerald. Welcome, baby. I'm so excited for you to be here.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So, it's been a long time coming through us, one moving to LA, and now we're relocated, but we've known each other since college.
Yeah. Sophomore, junior. Yeah. It's been a minute.
Yeah. We talk about undergrad, and it was we met just because through a mutual friend, really, Shayla, and shout out to Shayla, and but it was just kind of it was very organic, and she was like, oh, I'm gonna take some pictures, and I was like, oh, your pictures are fire, and then I was like, can I get her to come and take some pictures for me? And then literally from there, everything just kind of blossomed out, and we've been locked in since. But I invited you onto the show today just because I know you don't like to be talked about. And I am a person that likes to talk about people in the sense of, supporting and giving them the flowers. But I just felt it was appropriate for you to come onto the show specifically on what we're talking about this season. First season is all about pivots and change in direction on creative, careers and creative opportunities and things of that nature. And I felt like you have a major testimony or story that you can very much say about your journey from coming from this independent photography background to now a creative producer at it may not seem big, but it's a big agency. And I am just so proud of you and so proud of what you've accomplished in so little time.
Yeah. It feels like it's been on fast forward.
I know. But before we get into all that juiciness, I just want to talk about you a little bit. You're from New Orleans. I love New Orleans. I cannot wait to go back. I spent my 21st birthday there.
Oh, you had a good time.
Oh, baby. We're going to have to talk about that. But tell us about your upbringing and tell us how you got started in photography. What inspired you to get into the medium of photos?
So I think growing up in New Orleans, it was a lot of, there's creativity all around you. You hear music, you see people dancing, you see face painting, which was something that my mom used to do as a side hustle. Yeah. But there's so much of you can kind of get overstimulated by the amount of creativity that's around you. It's a lot. So I think as a kid, I wasn't super cognizant of it at all. And photography has no glimmer in my childhood whatsoever. I think the biggest thing for me that I had always gravitated towards was music. Love jazz music. I really like music that my mom and my dad would play, that my sister would play. She got me a lot into rap. But I think my love of music got me into photography.
Okay.
So it was a scheme. You feel me?
It was set up. It was a setup.
Oh my God. So it's funny because I don't think I ever like said this like in an interview, but like when I was going to Savannah State, I was like, I think I can like go to concerts for free if I say I have a press pass, right?
Oh.
So I used to do like deep research on managers, and I built out like this like structured template of like what to say, like, hey, I'm doing this, this, and this. I'm a photographer for the Tigers Beat, right?
Oh, shout out to Savannah State.
And I would be like, I would love to shoot this show. Can I cover it? And it would give me a press pass. So it would be like, bet. I would leave Savannah on like a Friday or whatever day that the show was going to be, drive to Atlanta. It's like a 4-hour drive, shoot the show, drive back that night so that I could be in class in the morning. And that was like my life for about like a year and a half or so.
Yeah.
And then it was like, well, why don't I actually try? You feel me? Like my first show was a Rob Banks show at Center Stage in Atlanta, and then it just kind of like evolved. And I think one of the last shows I shot was a Denzel Curry show.
Wow.
Yeah. So it just like
you made it happen. Mm-hmm. You said
finesse.
Make it to your finesse. I love it. I love it, dude. I love a little finesse.
Right.
I love a little finesse. So man, you can finesse a lot. So okay, I love that. So how was it? Shooting for I mean, you weren't hired to shoot them, but how was it for you as a creative? Did it really like find your niche in photography and like get you into the type of photos that you wanted to make or create or take, and what captured your eye in those scenes?
So I think like being in the pit, there were like rarely ever be any women that were in the pit. There were always like these like older guys, like older white guys. And then like one thing I always noticed is like their gear. I'm like, oh, what's that? And me like kind of feeling like a fraud in these spaces. I never felt like comfortable to ask. So I would just kind of like do research on my own and try to figure out like, okay, what does this person have? What do they have? And then after shows, I would always check like hashtags and try to like find the photographer. And I would see the quality of their photos and compare it to mine. And it's like, girl, you gotta step your game up. Yeah. This don't look good. Yeah. Like, you can't put this out. But I never cared about the quality of the image. I wanted to go to the show. So once I started to change, it was like, oh, like, girl, you could really do something with this.
Right.
And I think being in those spaces and not seeing Black women, not really seeing women, kind of like push for like this narrative or this theme of like adversity. Right. And like, what does that feel like? And being a woman, being Black, being in the military, like being in a predominantly like white branch, it was like, oh, you can, like, what this feels like. This is authentic to you. Right. Go like dig into that more. Figure out what that is. Exactly. Yeah. So, and I think like using that narrative kind of like, created like some of like, I believe like some of my strongest images. Wow. And then using that adversity into like celebration and then celebrating Black people.
Yeah. I love that. So would you say your niche in photography, well, let me say this. What do you say is your niche in photography? Or do you have a niche?
I would say like my superpower is like reading the vibe and like kind of like fostering connections with people. So I think like in photography, like an image that comes to mind is like this image of, it's called Giselle, and she's like this Black pregnant woman. We shot it in Atlanta, and there's just so much like emotion, so much like strength, so much like vulnerability in that image. And I think that kind of having that conversation between the camera, the subject, I would say would be my niche. Okay. Like just being able to interpret those emotions and kind of like catch a vibe and kind of like create what I feel is like a very strong image.
Got it. I love that. I feel like I come in, when we shoot, I come in with a very much idea, plan, or some type of like concept, and you're very much like, okay, like let's roll with it. But there is never like, oh, this is like a first thing that we're gonna do. It's very much like there's music playing and there's, we're probably kikiing about something that's not even like pertaining to the shoot. And it's just like really just trying to understand like what the tone and the mood is for that day. Right. Because I I don't know, like, I'm always having a good time with you in the sense of shooting, but like in the sense of like for other clients, I know it's different. You know, it could be, you know, they might not have a good day, or they, you know, you gotta make them have a good day. So I feel like that is a good way to maneuver, you know, I guess you could say, shooting for different people and figuring out what's the best way to shoot them, you know?
Yeah, and I think I've been learning, like, as I go, because I'm so used to, like, subjects being people that, like, I foster a connection with, like, ahead of time, and, like, moving more into, like, things being very commercial and, like, very political business, you don't always get that opportunity. Right. So it's just, like, just really listening to people, trying to, like, understand what they want, and just having that open line of communication. Yeah. So kind of, like, replaces, like, a vibe and a kiki, which we all love.
Yeah, you know? A vibe and a kiki is something we all love. I'm guilty.
As we all are.
I'm guilty. But okay, so you've done a lot in, like I said, in a very short period of time, guys. This is what really got me, because I didn't know this when I first met you, and I don't like. It was just something like, oh, you said casually, and I was just like, oh, you. Okay. So you co-founded and ran a magazine, Ain't Bad, for a period of time.
Yeah. So the two founders, Carson and Taylor, brought me on as an editor-in-chief, and it was a phenomenal experience. Just really getting to, like, see all of these people that were, I mean, really in the same space that I was, like, just trying to figure it out. Like, don't really know what to do, sending in submissions, just trying to figure out what works. And at the time, and I think even still, like, present, I don't realize what that was, because it was such like it was a blur. And it kind of like, it just happened so fast and went so fast. But it was really dope to see people, like, have opportunities from that, like, however they were able to leverage that for themselves. And also, like, of course, it benefited me in, like, what I'm learning, you know, because and once again, like, I kind of felt like I wasn't really in a position to be like, oh, this is good, this is bad. Because I'm always pro, do whatever you want to do. But it was a really great experience to be in that position and really, like, help foster a community of Black creatives. Yeah.
Yeah, giving them a platform. That's what we do here at Vision is, you know, I'm a big fan of that. That's one reason you're here is, you know, putting people on and, you know, if you can have or create a platform to, you know, give them to show their talents and their creative, you know, ventures, you know, that is what is exciting to me as a creative to do and foster for that. So I know that was a great experience. I was like, when she told me, I was like, a magazine? And, like, it's real. Like, it's a real magazine. Like, you can get a copy of it. Like, it was, like, really dope. So I was just like, being an editor-in-chief, it inspired me. I have to say that it inspired me to start the Ivy Mag and to, why not just change our online publication into, like, a physical copy. And we're still working on that. Like, it's a process. It's a process. But, you know, I just felt like you did it at such a young age. And, like, me owning a company at such a young age, I was just like, well, damn, I could do it too. And it gave that spark of, like, well, actually, you know, being in front of your camera, as the cover is Emerald. The whole shoot is Emerald. But, like, you know, it got me comfortable with this thing. Like, I can do a little bit in creative direction. And we're going to talk about your transition to that. But I can do creative direction. I can, you know, do graphic design and layouts and I can actually have an orchestration of, like, what I see on, you know, a page versus this page and how the layout works. And I can, you know, tell that with you and say, like, oh, this is what I need. I need an up and down, or I need a horizontal or something that's, you know, in that realm. And I felt like you really did inspire me to kind of do that. So it's just like, I was like, let's have a magazine. I want a magazine too, you know?
It was a learning curve. I didn't have any experience in, like, being an editor-in-chief, and I remember, like, when it was announced, it was, like, a lot of, I don't want to say a lot, because, like, it wasn't really a big deal, but it was, like, a couple of people that were just like, what? And I didn't have the credentials, but I know what needs to be seen. And I don't necessarily know, like, we need to do A, B, and C, like, to get there, but it's like, I can be the driver. Like, let's get this moving.
And you know what? Speaking about that, because I just had a conversation with my mother. Shout out to Netta. Shout out to my mom. But I just had a conversation with her because as this whole season is about transitional pivots, I'm transitioning pivoting into different realms and different mediums of art, you know, whether it's music, graphic design, brand management and creative development for different artists and brands. So I'm dabbling into a lot of things, and I was asking her, I was like, you know, is it too early for me to want to consult with artists, you know, to consult with different brands and different creatives to kind of, you know, make their visions or make their ideas come to life? And, you know, she said two things, which the first one was like, she's a Gemini, so she's gonna hit me with the hard stuff first. And I was just like, she was like, you know, personally, I do think it's a little premature. You know, very wise. I was like, oh, okay. Oh, maybe I shouldn't do it. Maybe I just sit my butt down. But she was like, you know, it's not to say you need the credentials to do it, but you can foster your way into it because you know what needs to be done. Exactly. Or you know what you need to do in the sense of how to help people and how to get the resources to do such. Exactly. So I love that you didn't limit yourself based off of the credentials of what an editor-in-chief needs based off of the qualifications that you would read on a or on a job application. Right. I think that eats us up a lot when we are applying for jobs or looking for positions and like, oh, we need 3 to 5 years of experience in a professional position and X, Y, and Z. And we're just like,
you automatically
cancel the application because you're just like, well, I'm not qualified. But it's like, you have to outweigh those and think of like, what skill sets and talents that you foster or that you are honing in and how that can help you do that job or progress in that job or foster in that job. Right. So I love the fact that you didn't limit yourself to that one niche or like saying you didn't have the credentials or you heard people saying, you know, well, why is she getting it? Or, you know, how does she fit and I don't fit? Right. But, you know, it's not always about the credentials. It's about, sometimes it's about who you know. A lot of it is about who you know. You know, if Joe Blow, uncle, know the head of such and such, then you win. But, you know, sometimes they look at something that's not. They want something different. A lot of these creatives are getting hired based off of themselves, based off their creative, what they bring to the table, not necessarily what they've done, you know, and what they're going to do. But it helps them build more skill set to kind of accomplish more and do more than what they thought they could do. Absolutely. So I love that. I'm not going to say it on too much, but you know, so you did do some more accomplishment. Like that was the first big one. I don't know if that was your big one. I don't know
if it was mine. It was a side mission.
It was a side mission. It was a little side.
It was a little detour.
A little detour. But like this is the one that I was like I knew about because shout out to Alex. Shout out to one of my producers, Alex Broom.
We love Alex.
We do love Alex. But when she told me she had this secret shoot that she had to do, and it was just she was like, I'm working on with Emerald on this shoot, and I was like, oh okay. I was like, what is Emerald doing? Like, I didn't even know. She didn't tell me nothing. Alex didn't tell me nothing. I just saw the photos drop. And it was not just Instagram. It was in an article. And not just no article. It was Vogue Italia. Tell us about how you scored that, first of all.
So... once again, I don't think that's hit. So I think so there was a photographer that I worked with at Ain't Bad. His name was Gilly. So sweet, phenomenal photographer. He sent me a link and they were like, oh, Vogue Italia's doing portfolio reviews. I'm like, okay. But I was just like, well, let's just see what's gonna happen. So I submit. A couple months go by, and then I get an email like, you've been selected. I could have passed out. I said, what? What? So, because I'm still like very early, like in my career. I think like if you take out that chunk of time of me like being like a like I'm just out here finessing to go to shows.
Yeah.
It had only really been like a year and a half, maybe 2 years that I've been shooting, but I was like shooting like every weekend.
And we met in 2018.
Yeah.
So
I'd only been in Savannah for like a year.
Yeah, it was very fresh.
Yeah.
Very fresh.
Yeah, so it was like, it wasn't a lot of time of me like perfecting. So it was like a big shock, but it's like, okay, cool. So time goes by again. And I ended up having a conversation with an editor from Vogue Italia. And a funny story.
Okay.
Obviously they're based in Italy. So I'm up here like just like, I got my phone over here. I'm like, okay, this is what time it is in Italy. This is what time she's supposed to talk. This is time here. So I need to get myself centered because I'm anxious. I'm nervous.
It's Italy. It's Italy.
Right, it's Vogue.
It's Vogue.
And they're doing it.
Anna.
And they're doing
It's really Anna.
And they're doing a Q&A, like, about me. So I'm just like, okay, girl, you need to get it together. Right. So I was like, sitting by my window, and I'm like, burning sage. I get an email, and the editor is like, hey, are we still meeting? I'm like, I'm late, right? I'm not late to anything. Oh,
I was about to say, did you miss the meeting? Did you miss?
But I was late, and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm making a terrible like first impression. Like I look like I'm not taking it seriously. So I just hop up, right? I like throw on a turtleneck, put my hair back, and just go. Cause I'm thinking I'm hours ahead. Like I have time to prepare.
Yeah.
We get on the call. She's so sweet. She's giving me all this knowledge, and by my window, the sage is still burning. The sage didn't burn through other sage. So now my room is filling with smoke. My eyes are burning. My camera's on Zoom. I'm like sweating.
And you over here
I am freaking out. My smoke alarm starts to go off during the call.
Oh my God.
It was insane. Like I could have died from embarrassment, anxiety,
and smoke inhalation.
You feel me? Like, but it's just like, okay, like, all right. But outside of all the distractions of the house burning down,
the devil will come. The devil will try you. The devil will try you, baby.
It went really good, and I think I held my composure very well because the Q&A was so well written. And then once I saw it drop, I was like, oh, this is insane.
Yeah.
And then I think from there, like a shoot with Alex, another one, ended up being published in Vogue on their Instagram. And I'm just like, well, this is great. Like, this is lovely, but I don't.
We get an article and we get a post. We're winning. We're up.
And it was for new work, so it was just like a really, really dope opportunity. And I think that was like one thing that was like, you on the right path. Like, you know what you're doing to get that recognition. So that was fire.
Oh my gosh, congratulations. Like,
you.
Vogue Italia.
It was crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was wild.
Crazy.
Vogue and Emerald, it was just like.
Vogue and Emerald.
Yeah.
Vogue and Emerald. We love it. We need another collab. We need another one. Anna.
Right.
But, oh my gosh. So, coming off of the Vogue hoorah, you know, this is the kicker. So that was what, 1920, right?
19.
That was 19.
Yeah, I think it was like pre-COVID.
Yeah, pre-COVID. We go through COVID, and also Emerald was the stills photographer, and the creative director for all of our like exposure, the world of exposure photography, and all of the, you know, cast, crew, set photos. All of those are coming off of Emerald, and she did it so well in the proof of exposure, like the first one with Shaquem and the whole main crew, that I was like, Emerald, I need you. It's like now, like, because we used our images for references, you know, for color and for a lot of different things. Ethan and I used a lot of that to kind of build this world, because the world was still building as we were filming, and I was writing, and then we shot Zier, and this is when Emerald left. This is when Emerald took off, and I mean, you took off for a mighty great reason. And I wanted, and she never came back. Like, she was like, I was like, how do I get you back? I need you back. And she's like, I can't come back. And, but like, you took off, and the reason why you took off, and I couldn't get her back because I was one proud. I was like, hell no, you don't need to come back. You need to go do this. But we graduated. Mm-hmm. We graduated. COVID. Jesus. Yeah. Bless us. And you got a job at NBC Universal.
Mm-hmm. A wild ride.
Ain't bad. Mm-hmm. Vogue. Mm-hmm. No, let's Finesse in the shoot. Ain't bad. Vogue. Mm-hmm. And now we at NBC Universal. Not just NBC Universal. She ain't working remote. They said, girl, we need you in Los Angeles County.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Monday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was wild. It was
So tell us a little bit how that just came about and your whole transition. Because, baby, you flew out of there. Like,
yeah. It was.
I think all of us, whenever we get that call, we
I'm up out of here.
We out. Bye, Savannah.
Right.
Hey, it's Andre, head of talent at The Aspect and The Aspect Social and Culture. Enjoying the episode? We've got a variety of unique shows and perspectives ready for you to explore. So be sure to subscribe. Continue your episode, and thanks for watching.
No, it was so that relationship with NBC, like, I was super grateful for because and just really grateful overall because all these things like side missions that end up like really fostering like something like what? Like
it was wild. It came out and I remember you in the midst of it. Like,
I was losing it.
You was losing it, but it was like I love how you weren't pressed about it at first. And then it started to creep in and you were like, do they want me? Do they don't want me? What's going on? And I remember you were like, do I move? Do I not move? Like,
right.
What's going on?
Mm-hmm. Cause I think like when I was in, I think I was like a sophomore, like I'm using my GI Bill to go to school, right? Mm-hmm. And I get paid to go to school.
Right.
During the summer, SCAD don't got no classes. So it's like, if they do have classes, it doesn't make me full time. Mm-hmm. So this is how I'm paying my bills. Like I'm going to school and I'm like hustling on the side for not a lot of money, but I'm building my portfolio. Like, so, SCAD job portal.
Shout out to SCAD.
Right.
Shout out to SCAD.
Shout out to SCAD. They posted this internship for NBC and I'm like, okay, like, I guess I'll just submit. Months go by. And I get a call or an email and they're like, hey, would love to do a second interview. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I remember going to SCAD Library, getting one of them little rooms, and I'm like, okay, I need to be ready for this phone call. And the phone call was super informal, but I'm on the line with all these producers who work in TV, and I go to SCAD, I'm a photo major. Of course there's film and TV, but I'm not in that world. Yeah. Like outside of like doing photography on set, like I don't know the inner workings of this. And they really liked me. So I think we had that call on a Thursday, I think. And they were like, hey, on Monday we'll let you know. They hit me up the next day. They were like, we love you. We would love for you to come out here. I said, come out here. They were like, out. They're like, yeah, we're in New York. So
this is New York before.
Yeah,
okay.
Before LA.
This was the internship. Yeah. Yes.
So what was like really wild about that time was that I was interning for the Harlem Globetrotters on a side mission, like a complete one-off. And I was going back and forth from Savannah to Atlanta making like $12 an hour. I'm only working 2 days a week. And now they want me to come to New York in like probably like 2 or 3 weeks, right? I have an apartment, I have all these things going on. So Globetrotter internship ends. I get back to Savannah. I pack up my apartment in like 4 days, throw everything in a suitcase. Ended up finding like this girl on like a random like chat who needed a roommate in the Bronx. And I just bought a flight and I went. I remember walking 9 miles the first day to try to find 30 Rock. I don't even think I had been in New York. It took the train.
30 miles?
No, 9 miles.
Oh, 9 miles. To find 30 Rock. Okay,
30 Rock. It was rough, but that experience was great. Yeah. I was like, I really like hustled. I went to school while I was working like 40 hours, a full-time intern.
I remember I called you. You was on the subway one time.
Yeah. It was I was really hustling and it was great because it just gave me like a lot of fuel. Like, it kind of like gave me that hunger. I was like, oh yeah, like I'm ready.
Yeah.
So that relationship continued the entire time I was in college. I remember like being in my classes, like working from home, doing remote because COVID had happened. I did like my first like 4 months like in person. COVID happened and they were like, we want to keep you, but you just have to be remote. Like, okay, cool. So did that the whole time I was in college, and I really wanted to be with the team that was in New York. New York was like, after I had that experience, I'm like, I want to go back. That's where I need to be.
Yeah.
And then NBC Universal in LA was like, hey, but we have a position open for you here. And I was like, you got it. Where do you need me to sign? You feel me?
Yeah. Yeah.
But of course, it's a lot of back and forth of just figuring out like the corporate in and outs of like how this is going to go for you. And it caused a lot of anxiety because I think in my head, I didn't want to walk across that stage and not have a job. Like, I need to know.
It's scared me.
Yeah.
It's still that I'm leaving with something.
I'm from around the way.
Not with just, I'm from around the way. I'm leaving something. I don't need no paper.
You feel me?
I need something a little bit more tangible. You know? Yeah.
And they worked with me. They set like my, they had like my start date 2 days after we graduated. So, or 3 days.
You and Amari.
3 days after I graduated.
You and Amari had the same thing. Like, graduate on that Saturday, out.
Yep. And that's how it was. It was like, I walked across the stage, and then it was like, thank you. I didn't even think I stayed for the whole ceremony. I got my diploma, and I said, peace. My sisters was there. My boyfriend was there. I was like, we about to go get some crab, and then we got to get back and pack up this apartment.
Yeah.
And my boyfriend and I drove. Like, I graduated that Saturday. Sunday, we packed up. Oh, that was rough. And then Monday, everything was packed up, dog in the car, and we drove here from Savannah. And then, thankfully, they gave me like, you can work from home for a week to get settled. Said thank you. Yes. But then I just kind of rolled straight into it. It was like,
and now
no breaks.
You live here and you live in Narnia. Girl, she lived about hours to change away from each other. Which is like, yeah, come by the house. I said, okay.
Let me pack my bags.
Girl, I had to pack up my bag. I said, I'm gonna be on the roots. I'm gonna be on the roots. Nah, but she live in a nice area.
Thank you.
And I'm just, I was like, I remember I was just like, wow, Emerald's gone. Before you left, Shayla left. And then right after you left, Jada left.
Yeah.
Jada got that job call from the mouse and said, hey, we're gonna talk
from the mouse.
From the mouse said, hey, we're gonna need you over here in Atlanta. So I love that. I mean, first of all, the driving, you did the drive too. We did the drive, or I did the drive with my ex, and that was very
yeah.
I did the leg from Savannah to Atlanta. He took Atlanta to Memphis. I took Memphis to. We stopped at Arkansas, Little Rock. Then I got us to Oklahoma. He got us from Oklahoma to to New Mexico, to Albuquerque.
Yep.
Ooh, Albuquerque.
Yeah, that was
scary city. A little scary at night. And then I had to take it all the way.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough.
I didn't make it to. I mean, I did make it to California, but I said I can't drive no more. I'm gonna need you to drive to California.
It was like my boyfriend had Zeus for like some of the ride.
Zeus is my nephew.
Yeah,
he's a dog.
He's a crackhead who lived in my house with 4 legs and a tail.
I have one too.
But it was like he drove the Penske truck with his car attached to it. I drove my car, Zeus in the car with me, and we went from, because we didn't do this right? Like we didn't.
You took your time. We didn't take our time. We did it in a day.
We had no option. You feel me? Like we really tried. Like we pushed it from Savannah. I think we made it to like Tennessee, Mississippi. And then from there, it was like day go here.
Right.
Stop here, sleep here. And then once we reached where did we get to? I think because we drove here during the heat wave.
Right.
And in Arizona, it was so rough. Like,
Arizona.
And then driving to Arizona at night.
Okay, see, that's what I do. I drove through Arizona at night. I saw the sunrise. I said, and I think I don't think y'all understand the distance of Arizona, how Arizona is really that big.
It's really rough.
I looked at the thing. I crossed the line, state line. You cross the state. I'm in New Mexico. I crossed the state line. That thing switched over and said 650 miles. I wanted
you could have cried.
And it ain't nothing, baby. It ain't nothing.
Ain't nothing but cactuses.
But cactuses, desert, and
coyotes.
Mountains, child.
Police. That's it. And then in Texas, like on a farm road in Texas, my boyfriend tried to like bust a Yumi in a Penske and it wasn't happening. We got stuck in a ditch. 12 had to tow us out. Like, it was so
bad.
It was so bad.
Why was he busting Yumis in a Penske?
So because he was like, okay, because we had been driving for I think about like 3 or 4 days at this point, and he was like, hey, I need to pull over. I need to like take a beat.
Yeah.
Right? And we're in the middle of nowhere, Narnia for real. And I was like, okay, baby, like we can just pull over here. And thank God we pulled over on a farm road because like the ground was soft.
Yeah.
But he busted Yui. The toe got stuck in the ground. I'm up here with my acrylics pulling up the ground. My dog is losing it.
Oh,
the Penske truck is like this. Our life in the back of it. It was the worst. But shout out to that cop because
shout out to the cop that was there helping the Penske that busted the Yui.
It is never my first option to call the police, but I was like, this is a situation that you and I cannot get ourselves out of.
You cannot get out of. Yeah.
But he found us a guy and he pulled that Penske truck up out that ditch. $400 on our way.
They said, this is Texas.
Right. Oh, they held him.
I love it. Oh my God. So you're now in Los Angeles. You are now working at NBC, Universal. And tell us a little bit how that transition of coming into this corporate world. And how did you like it? I know how your ups and downs were with just adjustment. One, to California. Yeah. Because it is an adjustment. Still working on mine. But just the corporate, coming from this indie background and then coming into this corporate and how things maneuver and the hierarchy of status and all this. How did that work out for you in the sense, and then how did it push you to where we're going to be leading into now, like where you are now?
So I think just with being in the military, I have like, so I went into the military when I was 17. So it was just like you kind of get indoctrinated into a way of thinking, right. And some good, some bad, but it really framed the way that I think of leadership and the way that I think that people should be treated and the way that things should be. And granted, it's not to say that my way is right, but I have standards, right? and expectations and opinions, a lot of them. So it was great at first. It was like a really like welcoming situation, and my expectation was that I'm jumping into the NBC that I knew when I was in New York,
right? Where
it was like, mind you, I went in there with braids down to my ass, neck tattoos, hand tattoos. I'm fully expecting to be judged.
Yes,
it wasn't that. Right, great experience. No one cared about what you looked like. You just did your job.
Baby, you in LA.
You feel me?
So your time at NBC, it was a good thing, and you didn't feel judged. You didn't feel judged
at NBC in New York. Yeah.
And then and then you got here to LA, and you was like hair, and you got it all, and you had a good experience. Yeah,
I think just being okay. So I think I had a good experience. Like I got to have like a childhood moment of like of wearing like babes on like the Emmy carpet. Like I had like really like pivotal moments to me, like that really like, damn, like I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And I think that I realized that like, yeah, you have all these big moments, but what about the in-between? And the in-between made me realize that corporate is not for me. I need to be in a place of a little like crazy, a little creativity drama. You feel me? Like
creative chaos.
Yeah, because I just being at SCAD, you're around like these like crazy, like super like superhero artists.
Superhero artists.
Yeah,
literally.
seriously. And then it went to an environment that was very like
structure.
And I love structure. I love structure in my own life, but when it comes to my creativity, like I really wanted to flow, and I think that I had an expectation for that space to be that, and it was never that, and it's not going to be that. This is like a century-old company that they're doing things the way that they see fit.
They have their ways.
Exactly.
And their ways are set.
Exactly. And I really wanted to see like more like Black female photographers that are like shooting these key arts for these really big shows. And of course this is something that like I can voice, but like, are they gonna do it? You know? And it just got to a point where like, I'm just not in the space. I'm not at the level, for my opinion, to be heard.
Your capacity is low.
And I'm not willing to work up to be heard. Like, and not to say that like I don't have more dues to pay, and not that I felt like entitled to hear my voice. It was just like, y'all got it. I'm good. Like, I appreciate everything. It was a great relationship. Nothing ended on bad terms, but I knew, like, okay, this was a baby step. You're here in LA. You got the stability, and now you need to go do something else.
You need to transition again. So, what was your favorite project that you worked on at NBC? And it could be in your internship or your actual job.
Simple. So, Eddie Murphy, he was at SNL. So NBC like photo where we were was on the same floor as SNL. So of course like we would always like see like people going back and forth between like the writers' room. So I'm just like, oh my god. And Eddie Murphy, of course, like Shrek. It's just like I remember watching Beverly Hills Cop like as a kid, like
Coming to America.
You feel me? So it was just like I want to see him. Yeah. And I remember like seeing him like in passing was like such a huge moment. And very small, but it was just like it was like, girl, you're doing it. Like, you're here. Like, you just saw Eddie Murphy. Like, it was so wild. And then, I think definitely like working on a lot of the different shoots that we went on. When I was in LA, I think I really enjoyed like, I think it was where were we? I think it was the Emmys. I could be wrong. But I remember seeing Cheryl Lee Ralph, her and her daughter, on the red carpet, and it was great to tell her like, you look so beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it was things that's probably like bigger that I don't put like a lot of emphasis towards, but it was just like, these are really pivotal moments, and like you're kind of moving and grooving in these spaces. And you a project baby from New Orleans, like this is kind of wild.
It's wild, and it's a blessing, and it feels good. Like I remember like seeing you post the pictures of you at the Emmys, and you were just smiles, like it was just smiles all day.
It was wild.
Like, you were like, oh my gosh, like I'm really here.
I was wearing a skirt.
You was wearing a skirt, and you were just like, oh my gosh, like it's really happening. And I love that. I love that feeling for you.
Thank you.
It was good. So you left NBC Universal, and now this is where it got good. I said, I remember her telling me this, and she's like, yeah, I'll apply for this next job. I was like, or no, you were kind of like, I'm done with NBC. Like, I'm looking for something else. And you were very adamant on this position. You were very adamant, like, I really want this job. I really like this. I really like the company. Like, I've never seen you, out of all the positions that you've had, be so interested in this position as like you were now. So now you work at Ona Creative as a creative producer. Now let's go through the timeline one more time. Vanessa, Ain't Bad Magazine, editor-in-chief, Vogue Italian, NBC Universal internship, NBC Universal position,
right?
MA
Staff,
payroll,
right?
And then you pivot out of that and now you're a creative producer. Now tell us, because I feel like I'm a producer as well, but I produce a lot of things. So tell us a little bit about your type of creative producing now. What do you do? And I think you do a lot. So I think you have to share, like, you're not just a photographer anymore. You're more than a photographer. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about Ona and how, one, you got into Ona. And shout out to Sonia. You know, tell us about your time and how you made your staple there. Like, you're there now. Like, you're at home. Yeah.
I think, try to backtrack here. So while I was at NBC, I just get like a random request in my DMs. It was like, I have a campaign I would love for you to shoot. I'm like researching. I'm like looking at this. I'm like, a campaign? Like, what? Mind you, to this day, like, I had never shot commercial work. So I'm just like, what do you mean a campaign? I'm looking at this page. I see like a bunch of Nike work. I'm seeing this, I'm seeing that. And I'm like, this might be spam or a scam. But we gonna see, right?
Spam or a scam,
you feel me? So I respond, and that response ended up like fostering into me like shooting, I think, like 2 or 3 Nike campaigns, and those were huge looks. Like I just remember, I think I had been in LA for like 3 months, and the work that I shot on like an 8mm camera that my boyfriend bought me for my birthday, because I was just like, oh, I like how this looks, like I want to do this. And to see it on a billboard in LA, like next to the crypto center, had me screaming in the street. I was just like, girl, what? And that was my horizon goal. I was like, I want to see my work on a billboard. It seemed unimaginable, but it happened in 3 months of me being there. And shout out to Sonya for that.
Shout out to Sonya. Sonya is killing it. I want to work for Sonya. Shoot.
You feel me?
Yes.
So it was like such a moment, and I was just like, damn, like, how do I do this again? You know, because I shot that, but like, I don't know the inner workings of this. Like, I don't know how this process goes.
What is
exactly. So I just kept going on shoots, and I just remember like feeling like you seen the Ford documentary from Beyonce?
Yes.
When, she was doing Run the World, and she had like the fufu dance. What they called? Tofu
dance.
Yeah. Yes. So when they left, and like how she started crying, that's how I felt. I was just like, every time I left set, I was so sad because I'm going back to corporate, and I felt like, oh, like Dorothy ain't no place like home. Like I want to get back, and I didn't know. I missed it so much, and I didn't know how to get back there. So stayed in contact. I kept shooting like my own personal work, just kind of kept doing my own thing, and then she was just like, hey girl, I think I got a job for you. Like, what you want to do? I'm like, when? You feel me? When? So I remember like this was insane. I remember my last day at NBC was my first day at Ona.
Wow.
And like, we'll never do that again. But I didn't want any lapse, like in money or anything. So I'm just like, okay, like, let's just roll. And I got thrown.
You got thrown. Baby.
I had no idea.
Emerald got thrown into the den, baby. When she started that job, I was seen
MIA.
her. I ain't talked to her. I was like, we gonna have sister circle this weekend?
I don't know,
girl. But baby, they threw you in there and you started pumping it out.
Yeah, it was really crazy. Our first project was JD Sports work, which is a project that's like super near and dear to my heart.
Yes.
But it was Metro Boomin, and it was just like, we're doing like creative.
Metro Boomin.
You feel me? So we're doing creative concepting. We're putting decks together, and I'm seeing how all these women, because it's a women-founded company, and it's mostly women.
Yeah.
All of the creators are women. So it's just like seeing how this is going. I'm like, this ain't nothing. You feel me? Like, I thought that what I was doing when I was at little old scab was hard work. Baby, no. I was just like, oh, this is insane. This is how the industry works. So it's been almost a year of me being there, and the work has been insane. And it is hard work, but it's like seeing like how your work makes people feel, how it makes you feel, and like affirming things to yourself that you thought were like impossible. It's been like a really a wild journey. But what's happening right now does kind of feel like, damn.
Yeah.
Like this is
it.
Everything is a blessing. The goals I set for myself, like, I already kind of surpassed.
Wow.
So anything that happens now is just like
it's extra.
It's a gift.
It's a blessing.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's a beautiful thing to say. That's such a beautiful thing to say. A lot of creatives, you know, don't have that opportunity to say just yet. You know, they don't accomplish their goals until they're, you know, their later years of being a professional. But you taking the initiative and the reins of your, not just your life, but your career, and really taking the initiative to push yourself into those spaces, push yourself into those uncomfortable spots, but learning what you like and what you don't like at NBC. You know, I remember when you first started out and you were like, I love it, but I hate it at the same time, because it was pushing you so much to the thing. But now you've done the Nike campaign, you've done JD Sports, you've worked with Audrey Nuda. Shout out to Audrey Nuda. I love Audrey Nuda. But you worked with one of my favorite artists, and Rico Nasty, and
that was
Boogie,
crazy.
And like Rico Nasty is crazy.
Yeah.
When I was literally at Starbucks. I was on Starbucks. I remember I was at Starbucks on Sunset and Gower. I remember the location. I was literally walking out, and it was like, I was just talking to her. It was just like, she's like, yeah, I gotta shoot tomorrow. I said, okay, what you shooting? She's like, yeah, I'm shooting Rico Nasty. I had to walk out the store. I said, you shooting who? I said, what?
Yeah, I think Rico was such like a, man, if there's been like anything that was like wild. And she was so sweet. Her son was so sweet. And to just be in that environment, like, I'm shooting Rico and Cam, like, on this camera.
On my camera.
And it's just, I will say, like, from having this, like, oh, like, I just want to go to concerts for free, to like this, it's just like, I want to get emotional, but that is crazy.
No, it's amazing.
That is insane.
And sometimes, you know, a lot of us as creatives, we do this a lot. You know, we're so in the moment. We're so working on the next. We're pushing and going and going and going. I did the same thing when I was in college. I gotta make a film. I'm already working on the next one. I'm working on the next one. I'm working on the next one. I'm working on the next project. Like, eras and eras and eras and eras of things of just building, and then you don't stop. Like, I think it was definitely after grad school, but I had a moment when I did the exposure tour when we were in Houston. And we took exposure on a tour, 3-city tour, and I've never done that before. Didn't know how I was gonna pay it. Didn't know just an idea that I ended up just pushing myself into. And I had a moment when we got back to Savannah, and I was just like, oh my God, like,
we did that.
And the film is like not even out yet. Like, it was just something that, like, I was doing certain things that wasn't on the level that I thought it was, but I was doing a lot of things, and it was just like I had to take back and sit back and think, like, you are doing a lot. Give yourself credit. Give yourself your flowers. Acknowledge what you've put in, what the work you've put in, and reap the benefits of it.
And because it was no backing. You feel me? It was like, all this is like done by you. This is all curated by you, and you're taking it on a tour. I've never seen that before. So to even be in that environment of seeing like people giving you your flowers, you're giving other opportunities to creatives like at these events and allowing them to get their shine. And it's like you're putting a beautiful story on the forefront for like all these people to see. Shit was crazy.
I mean, I mean, my favorite was, I loved all the cities. Of course, my favorite was Houston.
Same.
But like, you shared your story at the last night in Savannah, and Savannah was just like, that was good, because I mean, a lot of the exposure world has to deal with Emerald, you know, like blueprinting out like how our characters are seen and portrayed, not just on photography, but also in film. Like, it's a still image, you know, it works both ways. So I am so appreciative of you and like literally every creative bone that helped create that. Y'all, like I told Amara, y'all helped me graduate. You know, we here now. But you know, it shows you how much you impact and how much you have to just acknowledge how much work you put into what you do.
And I appreciate this too, because I don't think I've had like that, like, let's sit down and talk about everything you did. You know what I'm saying? And it's been wild, but I'm super grateful, and I definitely needed this. Yes. Like, in the getting overwhelmed of like what's to come, it's nice to reflect. You know what I'm saying? Right. I'm not a reflector. I'm like, okay, girl, if you gotta do this on the first, you gotta do this. You gotta do this.
You're a planner. She's a planner. She's a planner. Yeah. Very big planner. And I love it. I love it. Like, she was like, are we still on today? I was like, yeah, girl, we on.
I be having anxiety. I be getting ready at 11. Like, oh, we gotta go.
I was like, yeah, we still on. So no, but I love that. I love that you can now, you know, you're good, and everything that you're doing now is just going to be icing on the cake. Yeah. So that prompts my next question, my closing question. Well, second to closing question. What's next for you right now in this sense? I know you're still working at Ona, and you're still doing projects and stuff. Like, how is that? One, I guess I have a follow-up question. Has that inspired you more to branch more into, you know, commercial branding and working with bigger clients, or have you now missed more of your creative and own independent work that you? I mean, we did some couple of independent shoots. Here. You did my cover shoot last September, which was so much fun, and then we did the shoot with Jada and in the desert and with Evans and it was like, that was beautiful. I had a great time.
Yeah, that was a drive.
And then I was on the Owner shoot one time just as a PA, and I was just all geeked up. I was out there in the hood. I was just out there. Oh God, I was in Slauson. I had a great time. I was hot as crap, but it was great. But like, that was a fun time. So like, what's the balance with you now? Like, are you going to be seeking more independent work, or are you going to be, or just focusing on this commercial, and that's like your direction that you're doing?
I think the project that we have right now, like, I'm like super, super passionate about, and it's really been giving me a lot of like personal fulfillment. Because like at Ona, I found my superpower. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's what Sonya likes to call like your superpower. And I found it like in music. So it's like a full circle. You know what I'm saying? And
you're finessing. The finessing.
Full circle to the finessing. But it's like my best friend James, like, he's the only person that I know that knows music more than me. And this used to be like a thing that like in conversation we would always go back and forth about, like, oh, like, who you think won the beef? And I would be like, you know, like, oh, who you think doing this and doing that? And we would have like these really like deep conversations about music, like even talking about like Play a Fly, Tila, like just really like old Southern throwbacks. Yeah. And it's like a niche thing that I have with him, like in our friendship, and I've been able to take those skills and apply it to a job that pays me. Yeah. Insane. So I think that I've like kind of gotten into like this fake A&R bag, and like finding artists and like really like pitching them for opportunities, and these artists that like I really love, that have like really good social followings, and they never had like a big brand deal or like a big opportunity. And I've kind of been like the person, like the cultural coordinator. So I love it. So it's been super dope, and that's been like giving me like a lot of like fulfillment with JD. Like I have like a deep appreciation for that brand, and of course for Ona for like giving me the space to discover this like for myself. And of course, like I'm still sticking to listening to music, finding like new artists like on my own time. But it's great to apply that to a profession.
I love it. I love that you're finding, like you said, your superpower. You found your superpower in a place that pays you, and
it's a blessing.
It's a blessing. A lot of people can't.
No,
a lot of people don't have it. Okay, and I love that. I love that you found the good, and you found what you were lacking and what you were seeking into it. And shout out to Sonya. Shout out to Anna. You know, that's a great that she has that. She's created that platform for not just you, but all these women creators that are coming in and that can use their talents and to hone in these major big campaigns and major big projects.
Yeah, because I have such a deep appreciation. I used to tell her, I was like, yeah, if I ever have a kid, they get named after you. Because it was like, I had no business being in that space, like on paper. But I have an eye, like I have a skill. And being there has really like, it's made me like a full, well-rounded creative. And it's like outside of just the photography, but like how to build decks, like even design work, like all these different programs, like understanding the politics of marketing and branding and advertising. And it's just like, it's a lot. But it's like, you're just kind of like sharpening that tool.
You're sharpening your tool. You're getting your, baby. This is a force to be working with in a couple of years, baby. Just give it some time. Just give it some time. But oh my gosh, so I have one more question. So what gem or a piece of device, something that you hone or you keep close to you, something that you or learned or something that you can leave with our visionaries and our gems that are watching and listening, for, you know, based off of your career experience, or what would you like to just leave with us today?
So I don't have like a super dope one-liner. I don't. I wish I did. I mean, I do, but I have to give it with like context. So I have like a very rebellious spirit. I don't conform. I have never in my life chosen the easy way, which hasn't always been great. Like for some reason I always choose the harder path, the harder way to do things. But with that, it's given me like a lot of freedom in what I say yes and what I say no to. And my time in New York showed me, as a woman, you can say no and stand on no. You know, being like Southern, no's not really in the vocabulary.
It's a maybe.
It's a maybe. You feel me? Possibly. So learning to say no was like such a big thing for me, and I might have closed a lot of doors. I might have shut off a lot of opportunities because I have a moral compass. And there's just certain things I'm not going to do. Like there's certain things I'm going to say no to.
Shout out to discernment.
You feel me? So with that, with all those little tools, it's giving me the ability and thank God like the power to do whatever I want to do. And I think that's what everybody should do, regardless if people like it. I've had like really hurtful things said to me about my work. I've had great things. I have like admiration and conversations and relationships with people who like I've admired for years. But one thing that SZA said that sticks with me was that you're never as good as somebody tells you are, and you're never as bad. So it really keeps me like humble and level-headed, but it gives me the power to do whatever it is that I want to do because I have that level of confidence within myself and in my work. Exactly. And I think that every creative should have that. When going through photography, you see your idols, you see your Carrie Mae Weems and your Deanna Lawsons and your Renells, and you're like, this is what I need to be doing. And that's what I thought. You don't. Your path is not linear to anyone else's.
It's not linear
at all. You're gonna be all over the place. You're gonna be all over the place.
Yes.
So I think in that, just do what feels right, keep your moral compass, and really just do whatever you want to do. Like, just do it. Like,
just do it.
Just do it.
You heard her. Nike. We want a brand. We want a partner.
But no, just really do whatever you want to do in this life. Like, I don't think opinions or like things that other people say should really like deter you from what it is that you do. Tough skin. Do that shit.
Do that shit. Period. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Unapologetically you and do you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got one life.
One of it.
Do it.
A word, baby. A word on a Sunday. Well, thank you so much,
thank
baby,
you
for coming. I'm proud. I am so proud to call you my friend and to call you my collaborator, but I'm just proud of your journey. I'm proud of our friendship and just how much we've poured into each other.
Absolutely. Not
just creatively. Yes, it started off creatively, but you know, all of my creative relationships that you see on this show are real and they're genuine. Like, I check on these people, you know, consistently, and they're on my phone and they know where I live and they have my location. And this is my creative family and my family for real. So I just love talking to you, Dad. I love talking to you any day. But I really do appreciate you coming on and sharing your accomplishments, and let me give you your flowers.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Yes. But as always, stay tuned for our next episode, and always check the IV. Bye.